Welcome to the Healing Light Wellness podcast, where we delve deep into the journey of personal transformation and healing. I'm your host, Charlene Smart, and on today's episode, we're going to continue discussing my healing journey and why it appeared I had a kick me sign on my back. What I mean is, we're going to explore why my trauma seemed to replicate itself throughout my life. Before we delve in too deep, I would love it if you could go ahead and hit the follow button so that you never miss an episode. Let's jump on in. So let's talk about this kick me sign. Now, I'm assuming you all remember when you were in grade school, or I actually remember it when I was in junior high. There were people who would put a little sign on someone's back that says, kick me. And suddenly people are kicking or even laughing at the person who is toting around the sign. Now, I have never done that and it hasn't happened to me. However, the sign I'm talking about is actually the sign that seems to allow other people, especially predators, in on the secret that I've been harmed, that I've experienced trauma. Truly, and I've said it many times, do I have a sign tattooed on my forehead that says, go ahead and mess with Char because it's okay. She's going to allow it. And the funny thing is, and it kind of makes me feel a little bad, but yes, I did. I didn't have it tattooed and it wasn't the kick me sign taped to my back. But what it was is the victim, that little girl who had been harmed by her father sexually. That little girl was still alive and well inside of me. Now, I didn't, nor do I live my life as a victim, or I didn't think I did. But no matter what my outside bravado shows, that little girl who's scared, who has been hurt, she's still inside of me. And that is what was calling to the predators that I seemed to meet along the way in my life. So about 13, I can really see that the victim kind of seemed like a neon sign, or at least at 13 is when I seemed to meet some, let's call them not good people. So what had happened is I had the amazing opportunity to travel to another state alone to visit some family members. And while I was there, almost immediately, my victim seemed to call to one of these members. And it actually began the day after I arrived. Now, I was staying with somebody who was very safe, which is great. However, the individual who was attached to this family member, so it was a relative of theirs, came over. And they had children, and so he said, let's go for a walk, Char, and we'll take the kids around the block. And as we're walking, what's crazy is that he starts talking to me about totally inappropriate things, obviously, but talking about how the things he would wish his wife would do in their marriage. And what is shocking is not, maybe a little bit shocking for you guys too, is that he was talking to a 13-year-old. I was 13 years old. I had not even had a boyfriend, let's be honest. But, light bulb just went off. So I'm going to finish the story and then we'll come back to what this light bulb was. So as we're walking down the street, he talks to me about he wishes his wife, would spank his butt, or he would be able to grab her butt as well. But instead of actually explaining it, he showed me. Yes. He grabbed my butt. He smacked it. Remember, I was 13. Okay. Looking back, and maybe you're thinking the same thing, Char, why didn't you not just run? Why didn't you scream and yell? And in that moment, I'm asking myself that same thing, right? But in the moment, when I look back, it is not the 13-year-old who has a voice. It is that little girl in me, that little girl from a very, very young age, through the age of 7, who had been trained to not tell people, who had been trained by fear that you kept this safe and quiet. She is who rose. That little girl who had so much fear, and I'm assuming my eyes were as big as saucers when he touched me like that. That's who rose. The little girl who knew she can't yell, she can't scream, because bad things were going to happen. Not to her, but bad things were going to happen to her mom, to her aunts, to the people that she loved the most. And she learned that back from her dad. Yep, the one person, one of the very few people who are put in charge of taking care of her. So why wouldn't she rise to the surface in this moment? Now, as we progress through the days, things began to escalate, and they really did kind of expand, and I became more and more afraid. However, here's where the light bulb came in, you guys. However, one of the ways he continued to put my defenses down or my guard down, and when I look back, I really am thinking it was probably one of the reasons why I didn't completely crumble right away. But he started using my trauma as his in. And what I mean by that is he let me know that one time he was visiting my grandparents and he overheard my family talking about the fact that they thought my dad was touching me inappropriately. And he knew. Oh my gosh, you guys. He knew what had happened to me. And I have never even thought this or considered it until this moment, sharing it with you. Here is a predator who knew, or at least suspected, that I was being sexually abused by my father. And he used that information. And what I mean by that is he said, oh, come on over to the house tomorrow and I'm going to tell you what I know about what happened. I'm going to tell you what I heard while I was staying at your grandparents' house. And all I wanted at the age of 13 were answers. So he preyed on that. And then he escalated his sexual abuse to me to a point where I did completely crumble. I refused to get out of bed. I began going in on myself, meaning I would just talk to myself. I wouldn't talk to anybody else, nobody in the household. Clearly something was wrong, but nobody ever asked. Nobody said, Char, what the heck is going on? And that's not true. One of the other people who were there said, Char, what the heck is going on? And of course, I'm not going to say anything because I have guilt and shame and fear. That 8-year-old inside of me, that victim. But I also had the shame of the 13-year-old. I put myself in that situation. Now, I didn't ask him to touch me the way he did. I didn't ask him to say the things that he said, but so desperately trying to find information about my own past, I put myself in a really bad situation. And it was nobody else's fault but mine. Now, this shame and guilt of it was my fault, it didn't just show up in this moment, but it actually was something I had been carrying my entire life. Because I believed The fact that my father sexually abused me was my fault. I did something, said something, and so my shame compounded on itself that day because I allowed it. Now, this is not the only time in my life where somebody has seen the victim inside of me. It has happened multiple times. And today, I know I shouldn't have any shame over it. It's not my fault. Did I ask for him to touch me that way? No. When I look back on it, it's actually much sicker than I thought it was because he knew I was damaged goods, if that's the way you want to think about it. And that's actually just what came up right now. I was already harmed. He knew what he was doing, which, good gravy, makes this even sicker. And here I am, holding on to it for my entire life. Up until about 2 months ago, when I had that conversation with my mom, there was only one person in this entire world who knew what happened to me on that trip, and that was my husband. But knowing I was going down this path to share my trauma with you, I had to go chat with my mom and let her know. So it's out with the important people, right? And it's crazy. I hadn't even put two and two together at that time that he used me in way worse ways than just sexually. Now, let's talk about this kick me sign, this sign tattooed on my forehead that says it's okay to mess with Char. Excuse me. She's going to let you. One, I'm mad at that victim inside of me. I'm mad, or used to be mad, that she was there, that she shouted out to the world, yo, I'm here. Do what you want. I was sad for her. I was scared for her. So when I sit with other clients who, and I do quite a lot actually, who say, Char, what is it about me that says other people can abuse me the way I have been abused in the past? I have to say that it's not the kick me sign. It's that sweet, innocent child inside of you who should never have had to endure what they did. I also want you to know that we do not need to continue living with that person inside of us as the victim. I no longer have a neon sign that says, mess with me. Go ahead, I dare you. I no longer walk around with that little part of me, that little person inside telling me it's your fault. And if you tell anybody, bad things are going to happen. So there is hope. If you have experienced trauma of any sort, whether sexual abuse, physical abuse, or any other traumatic event, and you think or you believe or know that you also have a victim inside of you that might be calling out to other predators, I want you to know that you can free them. You can help them to process and disconnect from that moment. We don't need to carry around the baggage of the past. Because, my friend, that baggage is affecting us in the here and now. It's adding to our stress and our anxiety. It's adding to how we handle our everyday life. You do not need to stay stuck in the past. There is freedom available to you. You might be wondering how I know this is true. I know you know the next thing I'm going to say. Because, my friend, I have been there. I am there. I have walked through the fire, disconnected from my past, and I am currently on the other side. Obviously, still learning about myself, about the actual events that happened, and I'm still healing myself. It's possible. And it's not just possible, but it is available to you. All right. Enough with the heavy stuff. So, if you have any questions or you are missing pieces of the puzzle and you want to know certain aspects of what I have experienced or how I've gotten to where I'm going, I want you to know that you can send me an email anytime and I will actually answer it right here on this podcast. All right, my friend. If you are ready or you're considering it might be time to start healing the victim inside of you, feel free to reach out to me, schedule a free consultation, or find somebody who really connects with you. Someone, a practitioner, not just a friend, but a practitioner who knows how to get you through the hell that you've been through. Jump on that path of healing and run. I promise it will be worth it. All right. Until we meet again, may your days be filled with love and light. Oh, also, if you are struggling with any emotion after listening to this episode, I want you to know I have put a link down in the show notes so that you can download a free tapping meditation to release the emotional grip of trauma.